Hello, this is Burhain Selassie, the Orthodox Catholic One, on here on YouTube, and this video will sort of be a continuation of one of my previous videos talking about how Baptists did prohibit the consumption of alcohol, and as of, I think it was 2006 or 2008, officially even mentioned it in one of the resolutions for the Southern Baptist Convention. So as sort of a follow-up on this, I found sort of a funny thing in Baptist history is that even at the height of Prohibition, when the Baptist Convention, Southern Baptist Convention, was pushing and successfully helped pass the 18th Amendment prohibiting the sale of alcohol in the United States and the transport of it, that it accidentally, in their Baptist faith and message, which is their denominational statement of faith, accidentally left in that they, during their communion service, use wine, which Baptists don't do, at least not anymore, at least not in that time either. We see right here under baptism and the Lord's Supper, it says that it is prerequisite to the privileges of a church relation and to the Lord's Supper, this is referring to baptism, in which the members of the church, by the use of bread and wine, commemorate the dying love of Christ. So notice that wine is used, but then in subsequent years, and this is another year, this is these next ones are going to be from 1963 and 2000. Notice what the subsequent years do. It says it changes the word wine to through partaking of the bread and the fruit of the vine. So it changes the word wine to fruit of the vine to be more ambiguous, trying to allude to, I assume it's Matthew or the Gospels. But they changed it from wine to fruit of the vine, I guess, to sort of be compatible with what Baptists actually do. They don't use wine anymore for their communion ceremony. And 2000 also keeps that fruit of the vine thing. So they completely throw out the window bread and wine. But this bread and wine, the wine part was, it's just so hilarious because it's actually a copy of one of their older statements of faith. It's called the Abstract of Principles, which was first adopted in 1858. And that's where it's one of the first, at least the first time I could find that it was being used. They'd be with the elements of bread and wine to be administered with the elements of bread and wine, referring to their Lord's Supper ceremony. And you could go sort of. There's an article. It's by Keith Matheson, who's a Protestant, and he goes through the history of how the Baptists traditionally did use wine in their communion ceremony, but then he accuses them of being Gnostic and sort of ascetic, like monkish. But anyway, you can even find that article I found right here. Looking on the Southern Baptist's own website, they do link to it, referring to the use of wine, and you can check out here. It's a link to one of the Southern Baptist seminaries right there. But anyway, so yeah, in that same time period, they were pushing resolutions to ban alcohol being consumed and used and so on. You can see statements that one was taken from 1925. Here's 1926, where they mock the idea that they have any sentiment in favor of beer and wine. And then 1920, they actually tell the Indian government to prohibit the import and manufacture and sale of alcohol, liquors, and drugs. I mean, drugs is understandable, but alcoholic liquors proves that they're against alcohol use. In 1913, they do the same thing, telling how they support the Prohibition movement. Right here, the American Anti-Saloon League is considering the launch of a movement for the national prohibition of the manufacture and sale of intoxicating liquors. And it can go back to 1887, where they also have anti-alcohol resolutions. So the point is that at this point, it's been about 40 years, and only that they've been against the consumption of alcohol. And the Constitution, the 18th Amendment, already prohibits the use of alcohol, except for religious purposes, which ironically the Baptists forgot that they no longer do, but they included it in their resolution that year. So anyway, this video kind of shows that yes, Baptists, their beliefs kind of do change, and that it's just a goofy mistake that the Southern Baptist Convention did. But anyway, this is Brian Selassie, the Orthodox Catholic, here on YouTube.